All right, so welcome to the Startup Business Q&A episode 92. We are back one more week of the same, and I'm just really pleased to be here as usual. I'm wearing a hoodie because it's been not really as dressed as I usually am, but I still the same. I'm going to do something a bit special today. So instead of doing a Q&A or AMA or whatever you want to call it, we're going to jump in with 5 rules or things about engagement that I found to be really useful. There's also a bonus 6th rule or tip I'm going to give you at the end as well. I also just checking we're live everywhere. Yes, we're live on Facebook. Hello, everyone there. Hello, YouTube. Hello to Instagram. And a shout out to a guy called Sky Geinger, who basically has done a wonderful job producing the new intro, audio sound intro for my podcast. So if you're listening on the podcast, you've just heard that brand new intro. You're one of the first. If you haven't checked it out, go to therichardmoore.com and you can hear the podcast there. Also, we're on Anchor FM now, so you can listen to this weekly Q&A session on the podcast through that. Hello, William. Hello, Jordan. Hello, everyone else jumping in on Facebook. So yes, today I'm going to cover 5 really important rules, things that have worked for me in building engagement. Now, no amount of great content will get you anywhere unless your engagement is there too. So building a community and building a sense of a following of people who are actually keen on engaging with you and finding out more about you is all important. And so as a bit of a special day, I can do a Q&A, of course. If people will have questions, then I'm happy to answer those. But one thing I want to jump into is 5 rules that really make a big difference. So let's start with the first one. And these are all important. They arguably go up in importance as we go through. And then that 6th bonus one is going to really make a difference. So the first rule is that everyone counts. And I'm putting this one in because it's an observation based on what I've seen from people who are jumping in and trying to build engagement. And, maybe they're building engagement on Facebook, trying to create a business out of it. And they're just like, oh, man, I'm not getting any conversations going or anything like that. Everyone counts. And what that means, if we look back to when my very first kind of focus on online content, what I did at the very start was I was engaging with literally every single person who was jumping on the content. So what that means is if someone even just likes the content for the first time ever, I was in there straight away with a little message afterwards saying, thank you so much for the like or for the engagement. And, look at it. If someone's decided to take time out of their day to actually engage in your content or spend a bit of time with it, that makes a big difference. That really means a lot. And it means that they've shown an interest in what you've got to say. Most people, by the way, that engage, that look at your stuff, that read your posts, that watch your videos, things like that, most people don't actually even bother clicking on the like button, let alone comment, let alone engage in terms of share and then go as far as things like taking a call to action. Most people don't bother because they don't. They're just kind of passively watched. So if that is the case, then what you've got to do is you've got to go, thanks everyone who has taken that extra step, who has actually bothered to like your stuff. So if you did your first ever Facebook Live, or you posted a video or an image or something, and for the first time ever you got a like, you need to contact that person. Overwhelming amount of thanks. Say, thank you so much for doing that. It really means a lot that you chose to, jump on my content. And it's things like that matter because you don't know who you're going to be engaged with. What I mean by that is you don't know who that person might end up being, okay? I've worked with people in the past who were on a team, who then became a CEO of a company. I'm thinking of one in particular, who then, for instance, has got me in as a consultant tomorrow at one of his businesses. So, it's a case of saying you never know who you're going to be working with. Another example is someone I was engaged with a while back, and he was asking me for advice. And now I would be going to him for advice in terms of what he does on LinkedIn. So you don't know who you're going to get. Also, things like their reach and their followers. You might be receiving a like or a share or a comment from someone that really is a bit of a nobody, it seems. They don't do much on Facebook, but maybe they have that 1 or 2 friends who like your stuff as well, saw that they liked it, checked it out, and then, you know, you get friends of friends through that, and it grows organically. So that's a massive way to get engagement. You shouldn't be above thanking people for engaging in your stuff. So everyone jumping here on here and Instagram live, as you jump in, I click on wave to you, a little bit of thank you, and I would do my best to get through all the names, but I long since had to stop that because it's absurd the number of people jumping in, which is a great compliment in itself. But there's a few comments here on Facebook to back this up. First rule: everyone counts. True, but not the dyslexic. Aaron, very good point. But yeah, I agree. The first rule here of engagement is making sure that everyone counts. So you take a bit of time, you focus in on every single person who's dared to do anything, even write a small comment or just a like. That's a thank you in return, DM to thank them. Because what happens if you validate, here's the science, right? If you validate their decision to engage with you, what you've actually done is you've made them feel good about that decision to click on the like button or whatever, and they're much more likely to A, come back again, and B, probably do it again. Makes sense, right? So that's the way I would look at it. Let's look at the second rule. So the second rule is a massive one. If you want to widen your reach, so potentially you can pick up new audience, so you can engage with them and spread your word. And it is collaborate. So if you're writing notes, the first rule is everyone counts. The second one is collaborate. If you go it alone with all of your content, I get it. It might be just your brand and your vibe is to be you, but to not collaborate is silly. Now, it doesn't mean in terms of business partnerships and things like that. I get asked literally every day by someone, you know, would you like to jump in on this business or this idea, or would you help me sell this or something like that? What I mean by collaborate is do something with someone else. Maybe your collaboration is a tag with someone. I posted on LinkedIn about 12 hours ago, so late last night, a video, and the video was from my account. At the end of it, it's like a little bit of, hey, let's connect with my my handle on it, but actually tagged in it were 2 other people. Okay, and those 2 people had something to say or something to bring to it as well. That obviously notifies them that you're out there, that you posted something in their name. Obviously, I was careful in doing it, making sure they'd be cool with it, so I checked with them first. But in doing that, of course, their audience is going to see it as well. So collaboration is essential. The big mistake, though, is that people often try and take a shortcut, and you are going to kill yourself. This is a really big, important part of side advice. You will kill yourself if you decide to just put a block of text at the top or the bottom or in the comments or something, which is simply tagged names. You will kill yourself doing that, because now you just piss people off, because you just clearly look like you're spamming a load of names to try and get people to look at you. And it works. People will look at it, but it's not appreciated. It's not good etiquette, I suppose. And you're not going to have the warmest reception from those people. They're not going to jump all over you unless you've just delivered something absolutely epic. So think carefully about that. Be a bit more measured and write in a reason why you're collaborating with that person. That could be just a tag, but there's a guy called Fahad Mohammed on LinkedIn. He's for like almost every day he is engaging with someone new, and he's recording a bit of it and maybe just doing a quick Zoom or Skype interview and then sharing that. So it's a good opportunity to leverage that person's audience as well. And you tend to grow very rapidly that way. Some few comments coming through here as well. Jesper, hello there. Checking in for my marketing fix. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I mean, I'm another thank you. I'm really impressed that every Monday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're based, people are getting out of bed and starting their week watching this. This matters to me. It means we're doing something right. And so, as I've always said, you know, that's why we keep doing it. And that's why we're on episode 92 now. So thank you, Jesper. Anna, you've added, how do you know people are not just liking for the sake of it? Super difficult to determine a true following in the initial sense, just a thought. A like is a like after all. Absolutely. Some people do what's called a zombie like. Zombie like is, you know, some people, everyone does it when you get into that trance, you're just kind of scrolling, and then you catch yourself going, oh my God, I'm just wasting time scrolling through my timeline. What people do, like, next, like, half the time they don't even watch a video or read your content. They just, oh, that's someone I know of. Oh, there's Anna, just click on like, you know, and you just do it because you support a friend. Sure, but if it's someone new, right, if it's someone who's not been engaging with you in the past and they've given you a like, absolutely jump on that DM. If someone gives me several likes, maybe someone that I've not kind of engaged with for, say, if it's someone I've engaged with for like 2 years non-stop, it's kind of different, and we've got that relationship. But it's someone who has liked several things, and I take note. You know, you should as well. Be very aware of who's showing up to your news feeds. Emma writes there, you just joined. I see that you watch my content, for instance, every so often. That's a perfect example of someone who really you should ping a message to, or at least thank them on a stream or something. Because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I notice, I see your engagement. It matters to me. Thanks very much. So it's difficult to do, but it's important to treat everyone like they're important. So that goes back to that first rule. Okay. So first rule is everyone counts. Second one is collaborate. We're going through 5 rules or tips today for boosting your engagement with your community. And there's going to be a 6th one, the most important one, the bonus at the end, which is a reason why I've just smashed through 2,000 followers. I'm already at 2,002. I just checked before getting on 2,120. It rockets. Literally, it's about 100 followers over the weekend have jumped in on LinkedIn. There's something particular I'm doing about it. And it's not about followers necessarily. It's about what I'm doing that gets me those followers. And that's been like 2.5 months really, and that's all it's been. So there's something in there I'm doing. I'm going to add that at the end. See what other comments we've got here. Masterminds are essential. Absolutely, you've got to collaborate with people, especially, and this leading to the 3rd point in a second, particular types of people. Let me just take another point here. Ian Tisco, definitely, I hope to have a similar following. I wake up early on Monday just to catch this show. Thank you very much. All that matters to me is that people start their week in the right way. And if that's with me and that works for you, then good. Let's look at rule number 3 for strong engagement. Rule number 3 is level up. This is huge. I don't know why I didn't put it in why I put it as number 3. This is one of the big ones. Now, there are 3 types of people in terms of following and engagement. There's 3 types of people you could connect with. There are those with a smaller following than yours, those with a peer level of following, a similar kind of number, and those who are way above yours. It's important, and yet Melissa Winter here has just written on Instagram, it's the same with YouTube. Absolutely, exactly the same on YouTube, because you're leveraging the channel's audience then. But the idea about leveling up is that you've got to understand that the masses tend to represent people with a lower following, those beneath you. The peers, those on your level, are doing whatever it is you're doing. You're hustling at your level. And then there is the kind of the gods who are right above you. What you want to try and do is level up when it comes to connecting. When you're actively out there, every day you should be doing this, by the way, checking out who you're going to connect with. Make sure there's a reason. So they're involved in your space. They engage, as in they engage with other people online. If it's someone who's dormant, never does anything online, it's a bit of a waste of time because you're not going to get much from it. But also they post. So they're used to that world of posting content as well. So they're going to be people worth inhabiting. Ideally, these people have mutual friends as well. But I want to jump on to those kinds of people. So for instance, if I have, say, 2,000 followers on LinkedIn, I'm interested in connecting with people who have 4, 6, 8, 20,000 followers. I'm not yet at a stage, whilst it's great, it's important to follow those who have, say, 200,000 followers. I'm not going to necessarily get much audience with them because they won't pick up on my stuff as much. But leveling up means those people who are a few increments above you, connecting with them, send them a personalized message. Hey, I saw your stuff. Go through a little bit of work, read their actual content, watch their videos. Don't just say, hey, I love your stuff and make it up. Actually involve, just engage in it, because that's so essential. But what you're doing here is you're leveling up as in you're getting on the radar of the people who are a bit above you. If they engage with your stuff, it's very powerful, because what then happens is when they engage with your stuff, their audience gets to see what they've been doing. Their audience, their people, their followers who follow them are going to be leveraged a bit more as well. It's great to connect with people on your kind of level, because people with a similar level of following as you, they're more likely to jump on and connect and engage with your stuff. Basically, the less the amount of followers someone has, the more likely they will respond to you if you say hi to them or something like that, purely because they have the time to do it. Those who have huge followers, they have mad amounts of people who are following them and connecting with them all the time, so it's hard to come through that noise. But to get the lower level of people, the masses, those who will prop you up essentially and jump on all of your stuff, you have to target the people higher up. And if you collaborate with them, okay, as I said in the second rule, it will help lift you up a level. There's a great guy I've been working with the last couple of days on LinkedIn. I had a chat with him last week, a guy called Brian Shulman. He's got north of 20,000 followers, so more than about 10 times what I have on LinkedIn. He's considered one of like the main video creators on LinkedIn. It's great to have a nice chat. And we talked for almost 2 hours, I believe it was. And I've produced 3-part series of mini videos on stuff we talked about. So the second one went out last night. Check it out on Richard James Moore as my URL for LinkedIn. And by working with him, obviously the reality is it was nice to have a chat with him because we get on and we had some things in common, things like that. But if I post with him, if I tag him, now, of course, I'm being seen by a far bigger audience. It's important to do collaboration, but you want to try and do it with those with a greater reach than yours, if possible, because that'll want to level you up more. This is why it'll be one of the most important pieces of engagement tips I can give you. I would say that everyone who has different levels of following is important though, but ultimately if you can get people who have a huge following, that's phenomenal. Aaron Heckman, you have 250,000, you're watching me, that's amazing. That really matters. And if you've got 250,000 people, and if even 5% of those are engaged, it means a lot, because of course then you have people who value what you're putting out there. And the idea is if you can be interesting enough and produce enough value that someone wants to share your stuff that has that level of following, that's going to really make the difference, because then they're saying, look, I feel this is something that I want to share with my following. So rule 1, everyone counts. Rule 2, collaborate with other people, get them in the tags and so on. Rule 3 is you level up. Look at those people who are a little bit above you, connect with them. Connect with them to the point where you're DMing them as well. Don't just kind of tag them in a spam post, you're going to kill yourself, but actually be a bit more genuine and actually get to know them. That matters a lot. What's rule number 4? We all heard this a lot, but it's essential. If you're going to get your content getting you anywhere, it's value. Okay, there's the guy I mentioned there, Brian Shulman, his term was you have to give to give. What he means by that is you're giving, as in you're giving value in your post, purely with the aim to just give. No kind of extra agenda. And actually a guy called Nick Kuzmich, his book's up here, Give by Nick Kuzmich. He's basically the top Facebook advert guy that I've come across. He's worked on huge projects, and his book Gives kind of suggests the same. His words were, you should help without agenda. And it's fascinating because people are always like, but where's the commercial angle in it? It doesn't work like that. If you just help people, they will find out ways to collaborate with you or do things with you or give you opportunities. It's amazing what stuff comes out of the woodwork just purely by helping people. Stay up all night some nights, writing out messages to people, connecting, being part of the community. It all matters because then you get things in return. Be part of the conversation, but help massively in terms of providing value. That really matters. The more I give, the more opportunities I tend to get. And here's my description of content marketing recently to someone kind of covers this. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's really optimized. So you can see URLs to different products I've got, starting at the free Facebook Entrepreneur Business Group through to the Slack community, Entrepreneur Business Club, then my different courses, then the consulting and things like that. But I don't promote that in my content. What I'm doing is producing great value content so people, even if it's just 1% of people say, who's this guy? I want to check him out. If 99% of people think I'm a douche, no problem. Because if 1% are like, he's interesting, and they just decide to do a little stalk or check out my profile, they can find information. If 1% of that 1% come through, hey, look, if I look at the stats, there's something like 1,500 people in the last couple of weeks have looked at my profile on LinkedIn. So that's tremendously high quality traffic, because they're people mostly who've checked out my content. And I know that for a fact because before I produce content, I almost got no one looking at my profile each week. It would be in the single digits. Now it's hundreds and hundreds of people every week checking it out because the content's got a reach. So people are like, who's this guy? They check it out. And if some people decide to click on those links, they're in orbit around me, then they're on the website. And so that is huge. So give value, but also when you're giving value, you must also give variety. Because some people, I encountered this recently as well, some people consume only certain types of content, or some people prefer certain types of content. If people are checking their phone at work, a lot of them won't want to watch video because they might get caught out. If they want to read a quick post and flick through and that's it. So if you're not producing other types of content, you might be missing them. There's someone I connected with recently, and she said, I don't watch video. That's it. I don't watch, especially the selfie style videos or something like this. She said, I don't watch them because in the main, most of them are a load of bollocks. They weren't her words, but she was basically saying it's mostly a load of rubbish. And so I've just decided to not listen to any of them. Arguably, that's a misplaced idea, but that's her prerogative to feel that way. It's her opinion. But I feel that she may be missing something that way. But still, what she says is, I only read articles I like to read. It's what I want to do. And there's enough stuff to read, but that's fine. So you see, I do long copy, I do short copy, I do video, I do live streams, I do images, I do motivational posts, I do tips, I do giveaways, all this kind of thing. You know, for instance, in the last day or so in my entrepreneur business group, I'm giving away $50 to someone whoever can give the best comment against a particular question. Stuff like that. The variety has to be there. Because firstly, for your stalwarts, the hub, the hardcore of followers who always follow you, it keeps them interested. But also, some people are going to consume different types of value from you. So give to give. Help without agenda. Don't help with someone and then say, now can I have some cash for it? Let that come to you. It's a longer play, but it's far more fulfilling and effective in my experience, and I've done it. But also give a lot of variety there as well. So that helps. Daniel Nunes is added here on Facebook. Knowing our audience is the key. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because if you don't, what you end up with is the wrong kind of post for them. Someone recently wanted to be more intellectual, about his content. And I remember him saying to me, it's really annoying because whenever I get more intellectual, more theory-based, it turns them off. I said, what that represents is that your existing audience isn't into that. They're interested in the kind of the quick, easy wins in terms of information from you. If you want the highbrow, cerebral, intellectual content to resonate with an audience, you have to go through a dip of pain as you pivot towards that, and you will lose a load of audience and engagement, those people who aren't into that, and slowly but surely you will get people gravitating to you who are into that more intellectual stuff. You just got to move towards it. But, in the meantime, you've got to remember you do have an audience for a reason. And if you have an audience and it represents people who are into your stuff, then you need to help that. And look, it's just like the Starter Business Q&A here that I've done every week for 92 weeks now. It's something that's not really necessarily changed in format because it appears to be that people are quite happy about it. So that's important. I am approaching, in 8 weeks' time, of course, episode 100. So I'm thinking about maybe doing it at a very interesting location or something like that. That should be fun. So that's important. So rule 1 for engagement, everyone counts. Rule 2, collaborate. Rule 3 is level up in terms of the people you're engaging with and the connections, especially and people you work with. Rule 4 is value, give to give, with variety as well. And rule number 5, before we get to the bonus, rule number 5 is frictionless posts. So this is a little bit more something you need to experiment and hack away at. But if you can get this bit right, it makes a difference. What you need to understand is that for you, you may feel, how hard can it be to write on a post? These times when you produce some content and no one's bothered to engage with it. You're like, what gives? Why has no one bothered watching this video? Why is it that, no one's answered this question? It might be time of day. So you need to check that kind of thing. It might be that the post wasn't written very well. Maybe you had a crap headline. You need to understand how posts appear on platforms like Facebook. On LinkedIn, you get the 4 lines of text, and thereafter you have to click on see more. So what does your headline say? Things like that. But other than that, you need to have frictionless posts. What that means is if there's a call to action, as if you're asking someone to do something, or if you want someone to answer a question or respond in some way, you need to make that very, very convenient and easy for them. Now, the convenience is done for you by the platform, Right next to the live stream, it will say share or like. So if you're watching right now, just to prove how easy it is, this is going to be shameless, right? To prove how easy it is, hammer away at the like button or the heart button just to prove how easy it is to do, because it's right there, isn't it? Right in front of you on the screen. I bet you can't. I dare you to do it. So that's my way of getting you to do it. But the point is that if you have a very simple, convenient way for people to engage with you, that's good. There we are. People are starting to do it. Good stuff. Thanks very much. Thank you, Chris, and thanks to everyone else who are doing it on the live stream. The other thing though is you have to have a very simple way or a frictionless way to think about your answer. So those that will put in the effort to answer your post, if you say, tell us your life story in the comments below, you'll only get responses from those people who are totally bought into you, emotionally bought into you, because otherwise you have to engage their brains. And our default state for our brains as human beings is pretty lazy. It's pretty lazy. So what we need to do is say, right, what can I do to put it on a plate and make this really convenient for people? If I want to ask a question, think hard. Someone once told me, when you've written something, rewrite it, then rewrite it again to make sure you get it clear. Are you being over the top with your language? Are you trying to be too clever? Are you being clear? Are you writing in a stupid way? Are there typos or spelling mistakes that are completely screwing you? I remember once someone wrote something about he was writing about me, how I was an entrepreneur, and he wrote how he wasn't an entrepreneur. That's one hell of a spelling mistake or typo to make. So little things like that, check it, because what you need to make sure of is that it's a simple thing to answer. So it might be just phraseology, but ask someone just to give you a yes, no, or closed answer. Sometimes you want to ask, if you want to ask a question that gets some elaboration, ask an interesting question. Ask something that really is divisive, right? Something that like separates your audience, or something a bit contentious, you know. Something like that will get people moving, and like, hey, it will respond to their values will come into play, and they'll start thinking, hey, I agree with that, actually. That's a really good point, and I'll write about it. Or actually, I'm strongly against that, so I really feel compelled to write something. If it's real bland stuff and you're asking too much, people won't actually respond. They're looking at it, but they won't respond. Perfect example of this is in my Facebook group, which is just under 3,500 people now. If you haven't joined it, it's free. Go to Entrepreneur Business Group. So type it into search bar in Facebook and you find it. And what you can find is that there'll be some posts that literally get nothing, and then others where it's dozens of people tagging each other in conversations, in comments, in likes, in different reactions, things like that. And it's just like they're all there. These people are all there, but if your post isn't convenient enough or simple enough for them to answer, if you haven't removed that friction, you really are going to lose. It really makes a difference. Okay, so this is really important. Chris has written here on Facebook a really good point about this. The headline of this video is a good example. So those on the podcast who aren't looking at it, it's the same as the podcast title. It says, these are the top 5 tips for building engagement in your community that I use. What would you add to this? Okay, so I've got my top 5 tips. It suggests you should watch it, but it's very easy to add a tip. If I said add your 5 tips, then people wouldn't bother. Or what's funny is if you say add 5 tips, people normally add 3 because I can't be bothered. Okay, so it's not that they don't care or they're horrible people. It's just that people don't have that kind of, they're busy doing other things. Okay, so that you get engagement for seconds, and that's it really. So I originally, a year or so ago, when I was the early startup Q&As, my headline every single week for this live stream was Startup Business Q&A. And it was a huge error because that's not particularly compelling, except for the people who are following it and who are keen on it, who showed up every single week. So when I switched it around and put an interesting headline, such as dealing with rejection, how to close sales, growth in LinkedIn, or whatever it might be, and then afterwards Startup Business Q&A, it was far more interesting because people then were jumping all over it. And it's because it stimulated some interest. And there you go. if it's exciting or compelling, if it's simple to understand, if it's easy and convenient to connect with you and write some and have some engagement, that makes a massive difference. To think on that, the frictionless element is huge. Some people make posts that they're trying to get engagement from, but people have to wade through all of the text and the weirdness and the maze of trying to understand what the hell you're going on about, and it doesn't really help them so much. To think on that. So they're the 5 rules. Before I get onto the bonus one, the 5 rules are for engagement: everyone counts. Make sure you engage with everyone. Okay, don't be too arrogant. And when you're getting a load of success, it's so easy to stop doing it. Make sure you kind of go back to square one every so often with that. You can get to a point where you've got so many people engaging with you. It doesn't matter. You've got to treat everyone like they're your only person that's into you, and got to give them that attention. Second rule is collaborate. Make sure you're working with other people. So looking at people in your space who represent your thing. Get in, working with interviews. Have Skype calls or Zoom calls. Then that's great content as well. Level up is the third rule. So make sure you're connecting with and engaging with people who are on a higher plane than you, because if you can get their attention and you can be in bed with them in the sense that you get on with them, that can bring some great opportunities and it'll move you up faster. Seriously, on that point, when I first started out, I was engaging with loads of people who were relevant, but those who weren't higher up than me or level up than me, I just didn't get any traction at all. Those who are higher up, they will pull you up, or their audience will, because when they're engaged with you, if you're giving them of value, then the audience will see what they did as well. So that's essential, that one. Value is number 4. So make sure you're giving value, but also variety in that. So different types of value as well. And number 5, rule for engagement is frictionless posts. Make sure they're simple, convenient posts to understand, to engage with. Make it easy for people to actually read it, understand what you want, and of course then to reply. What are you asking for from them? Make that simple, okay? Now on to the bonus. This is the thing that's made the biggest difference in all of my platforms, but mostly of late. If I look at an example of probably the fastest growth on any platform so far, it's LinkedIn. I would say I've easily, technically a little bit more than 10x'd my following from a couple of hundred to now north of 2,100 as of today. I just checked it before this live stream. Followers on LinkedIn. But more importantly, this is the point, because followers mean nothing. If you're desperate for just followers and nothing else, if you want the vanity metric, you could go out there and buy them for like £5 off Fiverr, and someone will send you a load of followers. They're all rubbish though. But to prove that mine are organic is you've got to look at the posts. And when you've got 100 comments, when you've got 89 likes and a few shares, for instance. I had one video that went micro viral. It was like 17,000 views. I had a lot of my long copy posts are like 6,000-7,000 views. Some go easily north of 100 likes, and then there's 50-60 comments as well. And that's all because of this one thing, which I would take over it all. And that one thing is community. Now, everyone knows this when I explain it. Everyone always knows this, but very few people are willing to do this. If producing content, okay, and doing the things I've mentioned so far, those 5 tips, represents 10% of your time, then 90% of your time is working with the community. What that is being selfless and doing things that aren't just at home base, and I'll explain what I mean in a sec, but also out in the field as well. So home base is your own content. When someone responds and writes a comment, hey, this was great, it's of course you like it. You then reply to it. Thanks so much. Tag them, John. Then ask a question, because then they'll come back and you get more conversation going, or pull another person in. Jane, I saw that you do this as well as John. What do you think? Whatever. Get that conversation going. That's home base. But also when other people are having conversations on your stream. So someone's responded to your comment, then someone's responded to them, and then another person, there's a conversation, jump in there as well. That's a step away from home base. But then also there's the other posts. These are the ones where there's those, remember I talked about leveling up, those other people you engage with, those higher up followers, make sure you're engaging with them as well on their posts. So by community, what I mean is every day show up and be part of the family, part of the conversation. There's even a hashtag LinkedIn fam, and there's a real group of people. I'd like to feel I'm part of that, and it's how I've got to jump on phone calls with people who've got 20,000 followers, and they're really welcoming rather than feel like you're trying to game them or something. It's because I'm not going for the short-term win. These are people genuinely, like, and they've said it as well, where if I met them face to face, it'd probably start with a hug rather than a handshake. Okay. These are people, and you probably have people like this as well. They're probably your close friendship group, but this is with people on a level that you don't know. This is how you build engagement, strong, robust engagement for the long term in 2018. So every day, I mean, I think I did it on Friday. It was something like 2-3 hours spent engaging with communities. And this is the point I was going to make about home base. There's also being in the field, which is commenting on other people's comments on other people's content. And the difference is like night and day. The problem we've got is a lot of people trying to produce content. They see themselves as a media business and that kind of thing, producing great content all the time. But there's no decent engagement in it. And the reason why is because they only engage in the engagement on their own content. You need to go out to other people's content and engage there as well. When you give on other people's content, and be selective, bear in mind, point number 3, level up. You should really be engaging and being familiar with the group of or set of people that is a notch or a bit above you in terms of the group of people you can engage with, say on LinkedIn, for instance. Those who have the more followers, those that got within small amount of time after posting something, huge amount of engagement, you should be in those conversations. And don't just like the post and put your comment in. Go into other people's comments, read them, respond to that, like other people's comments on other people's content. And it's difficult, this one, because people are like, that's going to take time. Yeah, it is. And that's also going to be stuff that doesn't relate to me directly. Yeah, it is. You're going to have to be selfless. But the reason why I'm winning is because I'm willing to do this and most people aren't. It's not painful. It's just something you've got to go through. You basically, it is the purest example of the saying, you get what you deserve, right? You get out what you put in. If you spend hours with people who are at the right level, not just going, hey, you're awesome. Hey, you're awesome. Wow, I think you're amazing. I think you're amazing. Like, that's not enough. It's giving depth, having an interesting comment. I think Gary Vaynerchuk talked about this about a year or so ago, the idea of the $1.80 club or something like that. The idea of putting your 2 cents on, 90 posts a day on Instagram as a good way of engaging. If you look at that strategy, what he's actually saying is you should also look at what you're writing. You should be writing a meaningful post. Meaningful comment. Don't just like or heart or write thanks or awesome or something like that, because you're going to sound like you don't care that much. Give a bit more. Write 2 lines, write a couple of paragraphs, and then the next day do it again. And then 7 weeks later on a Thursday afternoon, do it again. Keep showing up for the community, but chuck your comment out there as well, doing all the things I've said. It's a massive game you've got to do. Look, I run all these other businesses as well, so there's a huge amount to work on, but doing this is huge because they start trusting you. They feel familiar with you and they're comfortable that you're not just some guy trying to jump in and get something from them. They're like, it's Richard again. Yeah, he always jumps in here. And what happens is people then follow the post that you're following and things like that. And you all works together and you become part of that central hub. It's fascinating. And that is how you get people who are leading in content responding to you. If I look at LinkedIn, top video creators, people like Fahad, people like Goldie Chan, people like Toph Evans, people like Brian Shulman, they respond because I'm not looking for the one-off win. I'm actually genuinely wanting to kind of make friends and connect with them. And so I'm investing a disproportionately large amount of my time in their stuff, in their content, but also in their community, and adding in for the, to the people who are commenting on their posts. I'm helping it along, helping them. A recent post, I tagged someone else just to thank them for sharing something because it was relevant there. And, help promoting other people. It makes a massive difference. Those platforms where I don't do that as much, I'm not getting the same level of engagement. And it's as simple as that. You get out what you put in. Krista, I think Crystalline, is that your name there? Inspire Done is a great name there on Instagram. You've just added a comment. I do this every day, and Instagram actually holds back my follow count. Very frustrating when I participate every day. Yeah, I think focusing as much as possible and adding the comments is the main thing. It's difficult, isn't it? Because there's a lot of weird idiosyncrasies in these algorithms that are designed to protect, but ultimately can throttle you. And it's fascinating. If I do the same thing on LinkedIn as I do on Facebook, I get 50 times as much on LinkedIn as I do on Facebook. So it's crazy. Thank you for sharing that, Christy. That's a really good point. See, I did have a comment up here. Thank you, Daniel, for summarizing the whole of the show today. It's excellent. Everyone counts, collaborate, level up, value, frictionless post, and the bonus. And Chris, it's surprising how much you can learn by engaging like this. You simply must put in the work. You cannot circumvent or cut the corner of the building of the community or working in the community and sharing community. You cannot do it. Bots aren't there yet. Maybe they will be in the future. I'm not going to say they can't do it. They're just not there. The human touch, being there every day, deep levels of community. You get out what you put in. Think about your group of friends, the close friends you would see outside of the online space, those you'd go to dinner with or something like that. If you see them once a month, you'll only get so far. If you saw them every week, you'd get more. If you engage and lean in conversations, you get so much more as well. Be part of the conversation. It's essential. Crystalline, just another great comment from you. I had comments. I do live streams every week and stories every day. Absolutely. And there are some days, there's some days when I'm like, why am I doing it? Really? Why am I doing it? Every day adding stuff. But actually, when people are showing up, when you put an Instagram story up and several hundred people look at it, it's like, well, people are quite keen on this stuff, so I should probably do it. It makes sense to do that, but also, again, tag the other people, collaborate, share, and post on other people's accounts as well. I think we'll finish up here. There's a couple more comments that have come through on Facebook. Daniel Nunes, yep, it's encouraging, at times intimidating, but I saw a LinkedIn video with a gentleman that said sometimes the scariest thing we can do is just push play. It is. There's a little tip there for you about recording video or going live. If you're nervous about it and you've never done it, for instance, your first ever one, it's easy. You now know what you need to talk about. Your first ever video should simply be 8 seconds, and it'll be you pressing live, go live, and you simply say, right, this is me going live for the first time. Be honest, because that's what people love. Being honest and genuine and authentic is essential. So you just say, I'm really nervous. I planned to simply turn this on and say I'm nervous. Anything I get out of this is a win. My objective is just to participate. I just have to participate. I'm signing off now. See you tomorrow. And then press stop. You'll be soaked in sweat because you're so nervous, but you did it. And don't try and do anything huge. Don't try and go live for an hour and hold court with tips of the day and things like that, like I'm doing today. You think about it, I've done speaking and coaching things for well over a decade. So, and this is the 90-second Q&A as well. So I'm very comfortable doing this every week. But if it's your first one, it's 20 seconds, and then the next one is, today I'm the second live stream I'm doing, the second video I'm going live for 30 seconds. Or this is my 30-day challenge. Whenever I've set someone a 30-day challenge in video, they do a video every day and have to upload it. By the end, by even like 15 or 20, they're golden. And by the end, they're like, that's such a natural, it's fantastic. And there's a guy who recently started doing it, never did live streams before. Now he's got his little watermark at the bottom and the production looks good. And he's doing live streams, and it's just amazing how quickly you can do it. So skin in the game and practice, just like a baby learning to walk. You got to keep doing it, okay? And final comment here from Chris: being afraid to disagree or add my point of view has been very helpful for me. Can be hard if there are loads of talking heads. Yeah, absolutely. Take a view on it. You know, if there are 350 comments or 7,000 comments or something, I tend to not bother as much, because there's a point where you're not going to get heard, okay? So you're only going to get heard if you're in the inner circle and those people with massive followings. So you've got to build up to that, I'd say. But look, I hope it's been valuable today. Thank you, everyone who's jumped in here. This has been something that's going to be live on the podcast. Thank you again to Sky, who produced the podcast introduction. I'm really glad, Melissa, that you've valued this. Thanks, Rich. It's truly epic. I'm going to follow your rules and grow my YouTube channel audience. It's hard to, but not impossible. Yes, make sure, Melissa, you DM me. I'd love to connect with you and see how it goes, and we'll go from there. And look, take care. Have a great week. Thank you in advance to everyone who's, thank you rather to everyone who's been really kind about Thursday. So I'm having an operation this week. In October last year, I had major surgery. And a bit of fallout from it. I've had to have another operation. That'll be on Thursday morning at 9. Should be routine. Hopefully be out of there by the end of the day, actually. And it's only around the corner. So hopefully be fighting fit. And I'll tell you all about it on Monday next week. So hopefully I'll be back for 93, no problem. And also big news tonight. After 19 years of Taekwondo, I'm having my last ever session. I've decided to close my 2 academies. So I've been running these 2 academies locally for 4 years. I've been coaching Taekwondo for 14 years now, I think it is. No, 13 years. So it's been part of my life a very long time. And I'm I loved, I went about 10 years ago. I was doing European and international and national tournaments. It was really exciting things. So it's come to a natural conclusion because my other businesses have taken flight. I'm very fortunate that's happened. And so I've had to close off the Taekwondo schools. So huge love to everyone who's watching, who's involved in those. And it will be a sad farewell, but for the right reasons, and I want to spend time with family, and I want to make sure I'm spending time with the businesses that need to grow, because in the next final notice, in the next couple of months will be the next tier of the Entrepreneur Business brand. So if you're on Facebook, you'll know there's the Entrepreneur Business group, which is the free Facebook group. Just search for it and you'll find it. Then on Slack, we've got the community, which is everything I've just been talking about, I suppose. So the community, which is the Entrepreneur Business Club, that's the premium group. That's $9 a month to be part of. But then there's going to be the Entrepreneur Business Live, which is going to be the large brand. I'm going all in on this, which is going to be live events. The first one will be in London. My aim is, I'm going to state it here in public, my aim is that by the end of the year, because I hope to do it monthly, by the end of the year, I will have my first one in the States. So the plan is ultimately to have them all over. But that will be great speakers with little Q&As as well, and designed to bring in wonderful people who have lots to share on this kind of platform for this kind of space. So the Entrepreneur Business Live. And if you're in London, listen up, because when we do the first one, it will be free to attend. Okay, free, with free beer and free pizza. So even if you don't give flying hoots, let's call it, about this space, you at least can come along and get free beer and pizza. Pretty much the greatest thing ever if you don't care about paying for anything. So hopefully that helps. Good luck for you all this week. Have a massive, massive day, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much. Instagram, I'll sign off with you. Thank you so much to also to YouTube, sign off with you as well. And